and welcome to our Hustle and Know entrepreneurial experience. We are an entrepreneurial book club moving into the podcast world. Last week, we read and discussed the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That book is basically about when you're starting, you should start with why whenever you run your business, whether it's for marketing and everything that you do, all the operational aspects, you should start with why. So let's find out if we said what we were going to do in our last session, this session. Okay, ready? So let's get started. Who wants to go first? I'm going to call in Shawn for today.
No worries. This has been very easy, to be honest with you. This one is filtering everything through to a why before I do something, whether I make a purchase or whatever my strategy or how I'm going to do my business going forward. No more showing up at the supermarket, which it's very hard to do these days, but you go up and you see all those impulse items. It's really easy because if you don't have a why you need bubblegum, why you need a candy bar, it's easy to say, nope, this isn't serving my purpose of trying to lose weight, or it's not serving my purpose for trying to be, I think, Julie, you said the Oreo, doing the Oreo thing when your why is based on something that you're trying to be. So if I tell myself that I'm going to be a smaller person, then impulse items at the grocery store won't work. So that's just one example. If I need to purchase anything, like I did need to purchase some new AirPods because I rely on them so much for meetings, for Zoom meetings, or when I do my walks and those types of deals, I did spend the money to go ahead and get AirPods. Normally, I wouldn't even think about that. We're only talking about $130 or so. But in this case, I'm like, I sat with that one for a week. I really did. I sat with it, and I'm like, do I really need to spend this? I mean, I have some older ones. Yeah, they don't last very long. And I was like, you know what? For what I'm getting out of them, for the value, I have a why. I need this to be able to listen to my podcast, listen to my books, to be able to continue on with my career, to be able to do my web meetings, to be successful at doing it. So I made the purchase. Putting the filter of why you're doing something helps me to slow down. By the way, I've saved a little money in the process because I'm not just impulse buying or buying food just because I'm bored or whatever. But the other thing is that when I get something, I can tell myself, there was a reason why I did this. And I started with why.
Awesome. Glad to know. Okay, Shawn, one for three so far. He's fallen through. Okay, Joseph, what about you?
With me, it's similar. It was my second time reading this book, so it's almost become a habit to first think of why I'm doing something, unless I'm just like not paying attention. And I said I would if I'm trying to convince someone or persuade someone of something, I would always start with why they should do it. And I did that in a speech at Toastmasters as the president. I talked about our why. But another example recently was I'm a member of another group called Business Networking International. And I'm new, so I'm kind of like trying to prove myself to the group. And we were having a visitors day where we had 2 weeks to invite as many visitors as we could. And I ended up getting the most visitors. And I did what they said. I would call people and I would tell them why they should join the group instead of what we do or anything like I wasn't saying we're a referral group. I was saying like, this is why you should join. It could help your business. This is things like that to persuade them. And I even called you, Julie. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, for sure. Glad I could help.
I actually ended up winning the visitor contest and I won some money because I invited the most visitors, starting with why. So Simon Sinek, thank you.
Right? He knows what he's talking about.
That's funny because my daughter today sent me a text and said, hey, I have to create a LinkedIn profile for my internship. She's about to graduate from college this semester. And I was like, I couldn't help but doing the public service announcement as a dad. I'm like, hey, just be careful with this because this is where people are going to look you up. And it's funny that you mentioned that because, putting yourself out there, doing those types of things for folks where you build that network is going to be very important. And so trying to tell my daughter, right, because I'm her dad, and she's never going to listen to me in the same sort of filter as before. But if someone like you was to reach out and say, hey, here's why you need to join this thing, this is what it's going to do for you, as opposed to, hey, just join this because I need to get to 50, blah, 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 and, help me out here. Do me a solid. No, that's not why. You want to make sure that they understand how it's going to benefit them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exactly. So that kind of leads into my turn now. So what I said what I was going to do was for my business, so that I'm going to start using the diffusion law, I think is what it was called. So whenever I'm marketing for my product that I'm going to be selling, if it's a new product, you should be marketing to the early adopters. So like I said on my last one, I'm kind of putting mine on hold right now for the coronavirus, but it's still good to use the concepts of the golden circle, like Shawn saying, like Joseph saying, where you start with why before, and then you start with how, and then you start with what. And this goes not only for business, but just anything, your person as you are, whether like what kind of person do I want to be. So I'm really starting to evaluate that as well as in all the decisions I make and what kind of person I want to be. So working on it. Yay! Good job, team. I think y'all nailed it. Y'all knocked it out of the park. So for those of y'all who have not checked out Start With Why, we highly recommend it. That is definitely a good read. It's easy and it's very educational and inspirational at the same time. So go check it out. And thank you guys for joining us for our Hustle and No Confessional. And don't forget, hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.